It's Ashley
It's
Smashley with a
Smashley.
Z. This is my first time ever recording with a guest. I don't know what to expect or what it's going to be like. We're going to make it work. Luckily for the recording of the podcast, I can edit this before it goes out.
Okay.
So the only thing that's actually live right now is TikTok, and
Gotcha. We can jump right in. I am trying to update my iPad so I can have our outline up. I didn't do that.
oh, I got you. I was doing all these crazy things. I told myself I needed a sign, so I did a cricket sign today. I went through your TikTok and I was looking at like how expressive you are with your
Mm-hmm.
opinions and things that you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw first off that you made a food donation basket that turned into
Mm-hmm.
like chips. So I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool.
Yeah, we started out with just like a box and then it got popular in our little community and I started putting up signs like for other people in the apartment complex because we live towards the back end. And I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 days in, we realized we were going to need a shelf because the box was just so full and we couldn't see anything. So I was like, okay, well, I found like a decent sized shelf on Amazon that was pretty cheap. And then we bought like this cover because there's a lot of stray cats, or they're neighborhood cats, really. Everybody feeds
Oh,
them. So, we put a cover over it and it's been going well. And then I did the piece on the news and then so we've had quite a few donations I'm gonna have to go through today. So yeah, it's been good. And then
I love that.
I had a couple of other girls in the city or women in the city reach out to me to start their own food pantry. So I'm excited. So I started like a Facebook group so I can list all the locations in the area. So hopefully we can get a couple more open because Corpus Christi it's a decent sized city and it's got 300,000 people. It's not huge, but I mean it's a decent sized city. And so hopefully we can get people in different areas of the city to have some open. That'd be really
That
cool.
that's like the type of stuff that I want to promote and talk about
Hmm.
on this podcast because there's so much of like the pranking and all of that crazy stuff going on. We
Right.
need like real heartful messages to the community, and
Hmm.
it's so cool to see how it went from just a little, basket to a huge shelf
Hmm.
because of the community coming together.
Right.
And that's the thing that I love to see in my community and any community throughout the world, basically seeing people come together and realize like, okay, so many people are struggling and
Hmm.
someone that's struggling. So it's just so great to see it. And I'm not sure like how we became friends, like following each other on TikTok.
I have no clue either.
Yeah, so it's just so cool that it goes from like liking your post to like,
Hmm.
following each other and just like
Right.
getting that
I
reply.
know
It's
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 fun.
really cool.
I've met a lot of really
Yeah,
cool people on TikTok, a lot of really awesome people. So I don't know how I end up following them. I just know when I got on TikTok, but I've met a lot of really cool people that I like a lot. So
I love the online community. It,
I
it
do
really got me
too.
through. It really got
But
me through during COVID for sure.
yeah. And they're a lot more it's goes so crazy because online communities are so much more supportive than in-person communities.
Oh,
Like
that's for sure.
my husband is one of my biggest support people ever. Like me and my husband are like best friends. We're like butt and butt basically. But as much as an Aquarius will let you be butt and butt, I'm an Aquarius.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
so
I saw that you're Aquarius. It's funny. I love Aquariuses, but sometimes they don't love me too much. I'm a Pisces, so
Oh, see, I get along with Pisces. I have
do
a really
you?
good friend named Barbie, and she's a Pisces, and yeah, she's really cool. I like her a lot.
Is she like a mid March Pisces?
No, she's a early March, March 4th.
Early March. Okay, I'm a March 16th, so I know they're a little
Gotcha.
bit different when they get down to the Aries,
Right,
like close to
right.
Aries. So, yeah, but so I thought there was this really cool post that you made on TikTok, and it was about Drake. So I wanted to
Oh,
see if
ugh,
you could talk about that.
I hate Drake. I used to love Drake. Like we're millennials, you know, like him and Lil Wayne gave us some of the best music in the 2000s, you know. They were everything, but he just started getting ridiculous. Like I noticed he started making the same songs over and over. He's crying about girls and I'm like, "Oh my God, you're a viejito now. You're an old man." Like why are you still making like that's how I thought about it. I'm like, "You're old now. I don't know what's going on here." And then like him trying to hide his sons, and then he's always talking about how he wants a good girl, but then he goes out with Instagram girls. Like, no, you're just a fuck boy, basically. That's what you are.
Yes.
You just have
I
money. And I hate. He just makes me so mad.
I don't know why I have this thing against Drake, but my children's father loves him so much, and I loved him on Degrassi. I thought
Right.
that he was great on Degrassi, and when he went from Degrassi to like gangster rap, I was like,
Hmm.
"That's bro, you're a star. What are you talking about? You didn't grow
Yeah.
up in the trenches. If you got into any trouble, that's because you went to find the trouble." But
Right.
I just think it's funny when like actors and child stars like to act like they had this rough upbringing that they
Yeah.
just.
And see, like, I didn't know him in Degrassi. I just knew him when he started doing music. So for me, like, the hate really started whenever he just basically started being a crybaby. Like, and he wasn't maturing. He was making the same music all the time, pandering to, like, this basically the kind of alpha male culture of, like, hating women. You know what I mean? And it's all a woman's fault. And I just stopped liking him. I'm like, I don't want to hear any of this anymore. It's ridiculous.
Thank God we have. I mean, I'm not always with the messages of the
Hmm.
female rappers from today,
Hmm.
but thank God we have so many female rappers coming
I
up
know.
and really talking that stuff because we need it. We
We
need it. We're
do. We
overwhelmed
do.
by that masculinity. We don't need it anymore.
No.
We need to see more women in power. That's the type of stuff that I like to see for real.
And I like the women rappers now because like they have this whole like I don't need a man at all type of like, you know, excuse me, some of the lyrics are very like I just want to mess around with you. I don't want anything else. Like I know you're not good. And I love that. I'm like, "You know what? Yes.
Hot girl
Yes."
summer type stuff.
That's exactly like it's just about us. Leave us alone. We're just going to do our thing, you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
love that because for
And
so
I love
long
men that support that. Like
I do too. Yeah.
your husband, you said is completely like a supporter. I love that.
Yes.
I I got into a relationship really really early in sobriety and
Mhm.
had like this whirlwind of like getting pregnant, having the baby, and just not really connecting with the person that I did all that
Mhm.
with. And so we're like completely different. Like he is
Mm.
homophobic, which is
Mm.
completely disgusting in my view, and he is kind of really male chauvinistic, but
Mhm.
he is getting better. Like he's trying, he wants to take that hateful part of him out of him, and that's the only reason that we still can be cohesive together because
That's
he sees.
awesome.
Yeah, and he promotes mental health as well. My kid's father, so he is all about that and all about changing. So it's just maybe he could take some tips from your husband.
Yeah, and you know, my husband and I were just talking the other day because he does a podcast, and he's been in the sports journalism world for like 15 years now, and
Oh,
so he does a boxing and wrestling and like combat sports type podcast. But he and really to back up a little bit, his family is really who got me into politics. My family was never. My mom's family is Jehovah Witnesses, and my dad's family were Southern Baptist, so they were like Republican, old school
yeah,
Republican, not hateful Republican, but kind of the uh, no abortion type,
right,
Republican.
yeah.
And
We're in
so
Texas,
when I got,
so
yeah,
I
so when
get
I got with my husband's family, they really got me into politics. And so he has evolved in the same way. Like, he's helped me, I've helped him, and recently, he's always been very vocal as his opinions. He's taught me a lot. We're both air signs, so we talk a lot. And so recently he's been on his podcast, he's been slipping in more like current events, and we were literally just talking about, he's like, I'm really tired of doing wrestling and boxing. It's not that I don't like it, like I love it. You know, he also writes for a wrestling website called New York Fights, and he wants to transition, but he also wants to bring part of his core audience, because these guys are not necessarily bad guys. They're just all caught in this very patriarchal, you know, chauvinistic
Generation.
societal standard, right? That they've all just kind of been, you know. And so I'm really hoping that he decides to kind of move that way, which I think he is. I think he's definitely going to create another podcast and slowly try to transition some of his listeners over there, you know, for more important topics, you know.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. With
So it's really
everything going
important for men to be in the space right now. I think men are scared to talk. They're scared their friends are going to not be their friends anymore, you know what I mean? And they
yeah,
may not really have all the same ideas as everybody else. But it's I I definitely have an empathy for having to stand up to other men, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's scary. It's
Mhm.
scary as a man to show your sensitive side and
Mhm.
show that you can be vulnerable. And it's just so important for humans in
Mhm.
general to be vulnerable. So that male chauvinistic ideations that have been in line for generations and generations, it's going
Mhm.
to take at least a couple of generations to get it out of them. You know,
Right,
you can't
exactly.
expect like my dad. I'm from a rural part of South Jersey, a lot of
Mhm.
farmland and woods and stuff like that. He is Mexican American and white. So
Mhm.
his dad was racist, and
Mhm.
his dad was from California, but raised, I think, in Mexico, and
Mhm.
he grew up to be racist. And you know,
Right.
I have uh, my children's father is mixed, and my children are obviously mixed, and
Mhm.
um, didn't take him any time to be okay with that because
Mhm.
my boyfriends have been biracial. So like
Gotcha.
from the age of like 14, he's been kind of getting out of that
Mhm.
ism, I guess you would say,
Right.
and trying to be more accepting. But then he'll go in the store and say something like completely outlandish that he shouldn't
Mhm.
say. So it's just this whole like catch 22. I don't think it will ever get beaten out of him. But my
Mhm.
brother, he's not like that at all. And so
That's awesome.
yeah, so it's just like it's just where you're from and what you're used to, and it's
Mhm.
like if somebody tried to stand up to somebody like my dad, he would just be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, well, let's just fight about it or something." So,
Right.
my parents are kind of crazy. I know that you have some stories about your
Oh
parents
yeah. Yeah.
and growing up and breaking the generational cycle of addiction.
Mhm.
So, I don't know if you wanted to dive into that
Yeah.
now.
So my okay. So my mom, she got married pretty young. She got married when she was 16. And she got married when she was 16 because my grandma, which this is part of the reason I don't talk with my mom's side of the family, because they don't acknowledge that my grandma had mental health issues. She would like flip out. She also had a little bit of an addiction problem as well. She got addicted to pain pills and stuff. So all that to say, like, my mom was the oldest. She had a different dad, and so she when my grandma had my youngest aunt, she made my mom quit school to raise my aunt. And so my mom eventually just she got married really young, and she moved to Oklahoma, and her husband ended up being abusive. And so she had my two older brothers, and somehow they ended up back here in this area. And because coincidentally, which is really weird because it was the 80s, uh, her apartment manager kicked out her husband because he was beating her so much. She could hear it, like people were complaining, so he made him leave. So once that happened, my dad apparently was around that apartment complex, and they got together, and they ended up, she got pregnant with me. So once that happened, because they were Jehovah Witnesses, she got disfellowshipped. None of my family would talk to her because at that point they were really in the Jehovah Witness religion, and so they had at that time they disfellowshipped people. I don't know if they still do that because I don't follow religion, but um, they disfellowshipped her. So she was pregnant with me, and my her husband stole the two boys, and so that's kind of like the. My mom ended up having to marry my dad because of the religion and all this different stuff. And my dad was never, as I've gotten older and I've talked to my mom more, my dad was never he never wanted kids, and he was always an addict. Like even before, like he was in his early 20s, so he wasn't like a on the streets addict yet, but he was partying. I mean, heroin was a party drug back then, in the 80s, so in the early 90s, and so she kind of just had us on her own, and at some point she started getting into pain pills, and this is really kind of the time like where pain pills were big, in the late 90s, early 2000s. And there was a local doctor, because we're from a small town, like there's two doctors there, so the one doctor was like giving pain pills to everybody in town. So my mom got addicted, my grandma got addicted, and my dad was already gone. Like my dad, he left like in 95. He would pop in and out, but I spent a lot of time with his parents, my grandparents. So I kind of stayed connected to that side of my family. And once my mom really started doing drugs, that's when it got bad because my dad was never around anyways to take care of us. But once our main person, started doing drugs. So we were homeless a lot in high school, moved around a lot. And let's see, I ended up graduating high school, and my brother ended up going into the army. And when he came back, he started taking pills with my mom. So then now I had my mom, my dad, and my brother all on opiates, basically. My dad got sick. He got hepatitis C. And then eventually that's what he died from. Well, he was using. He died from a seizure, but he looked pregnant. His kidneys were failing and everything. So it was like kind of a comorbidity type thing. And my mom and my brother have been together on the streets now for probably like on and off the streets for probably like 12 years now. My brother does not know how to be an adult. He's 2 years younger than me. He doesn't, like, my mom's always done everything for him. And my mom has so much guilt that she won't let my brother go. And
Right.
so, yeah, it's been a lot. I've always been like the mom my entire life. I've always been like my mom's mom and taking care of my brother and stuff like that. So I don't really know. Now I think it was my higher self or God or whatever, but from a very young age, I knew I had to graduate high school. And so I really detached from my emotions as a child and just kept moving forward, which is very Aquarian of me. Now that I'm older and I understand, like I mean, I didn't let anything get in my way. I didn't let we could move. Like at one point we were living with my drug dealer cousin, and like crazy stuff was happening, but it did not stop me from going to school the next day and like being able to pay attention. And like I just became I could compartmentalize really well.
That's so
But
beautiful. It really is.
yeah.
I love to see that, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just
No, no,
wanted
no,
to
it's fine.
interject before I forgot something. Um, so my daughter, she's 7,
Mhm.
so thank God I'm sober now.
Mhm.
Um, I wasn't sober I didn't stay sober after I had her. I
Mhm.
actually went back into my active addiction, and
Mhm.
I kind of drug her through the mud.
Mhm.
Basically, like she was home alone with me, and I overdosed, and she was
Oh my
3,
goodness.
and she was by herself for 3 hours until her dad came home, and I was just laying on the floor, like I guess
Mhm.
basically essentially dying. And thank God
Right.
he took an Uber home that day. Typically, he would have taken a bus home, but I guess just something told him like I'm taking an
Right.
Uber, and um, so I was able to get alive
Get
again.
help. Yeah.
So I'm looking at you and I'm like, this could be my daughter if I ever went back to it, and
Mhm.
I hope that she would be able to compartmentalize and go to her school classes and everything just like you did. Like, it
Hmm.
just shows me that, like, not every child from an addict mother becomes an addict or has to have a horrible life. They, you
Right.
know, we break generational curses and cycles, and I'm glad to see that, because I hope that if God forbid, you know, I were to
Hmm.
relapse and go back down a bad road for a lot of years, that she would be able to be strong and persevere like you did.
Yeah, it's definitely I think about that a lot. I think about who I could have become. I think about, the different paths I could have taken. Even now, like it's so weird being a child of addicts or being a child of trauma because I never really saw a future. I mean, I knew I had to do certain things, but like once I graduated high school, I had no plan after that. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I guess I could never really, even now as an adult, it's very hard for me to envision what I'm going to be doing or even pick a specific path. You know, but it's different with my brother. Like my brother, for some reason, I don't know if it's his birth order. I don't, you know what I mean? There's so many things as I've been, going to school, there are so many things that can contribute to how we turn out. You know what I mean? Like, it could simply be that my brother's a boy and I'm a girl, and he had no father around and he really needed that. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
could be something as simple as that. But I had a lot of really good teachers that like I said, I'm from a small town, so they knew that I tried, and they knew that I was smart, and so they always encouraged me. They always looked out for me. Excuse me. And my grandma, my dad's mom, she also she graduated high school. Other than I'm the only person that's graduated high school other than her in my family. As
Oh,
far as like my grandparents, my parents, my siblings, even none of my three brothers graduated from high school. My brother eventually got his like a high school equivalency. It's not a GED, it was a high school equivalency to be able to join the army. But my other two brothers, my older brothers, they quit school. Like my one brother didn't go past the sixth grade. He has no formal education. And then the other one, I think it was like eighth grade or something like that. Um, and my family are working class. Like both sides of my family were very working class. And so yeah, my grandma made sure to like instill in me like even clerical skills, as weird as that sounds, because she was like a bookkeeper. She really tried to teach me how to file and like teach me different things because I think she really wanted
those
me to
are
be independent. Yeah.
like when is the last time I needed to use long division? Like, you
Right.
know, we need to learn things in school that are actually going to help us in life.
Yeah, right. So there were certain things that she did that she taught me. So as like I said, as I've gotten older and I've really looked back, I've seen uh I just got lucky, honestly. I got lucky. I got lucky that I listened to that little voice. Um because I think we all have that. I think we all have something that tells us, we all have intuition. It's are we going to listen to the intuition or is it loud enough for us to really hear or is it kind of drowned out by trauma, by other people's voices, you know what I mean? And so I honestly a lot of times count myself lucky. Like I do know at some point it was my hard work that got me there, but it's also just pure luck
I
because
I like I would love to believe in luck, and I think I do believe in it a little bit, but I really think like of the blank slate theory where you
Mhm,
just create your life, and
mhm,
if you just do it and you keep doing it and persevering, but maybe luck is real. I used to find like four-leaf clovers as a kid and
right?
laminate and put them all around in hopes that luck was real, but
I do believe in the like I've gotten to believe just in the reciprocity of the universe, essentially. Um, that good things do come to those that do good and that have boundaries. Like I think back, I've always been a kind person, but I used to be a kind person without boundaries. So then I would hurt myself, and so then that would make me feel, shitty about my worth. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of this energetic shift until I learned how to be kind, like with boundaries and to take care of myself and things like that and not overextend myself. And in that, I have found uh, like the abundance and I guess the luck of the universe, if you would call it that. But I really just feel like it's an energy exchange. Everything is energetic. And I definitely do believe, kind of like what you're saying about the blank slate, that you do build your life. Because at some point, like you do. And that was one thing, like as a teenager, and it's why I want to work with teens at some point. I got into this mindset where one day I decided to stop being mad at my mom because I used to be really mean to her. I used to be really ugly to her. And I just got tired of being angry. I really did. I was like, why am I so mad all the time? Like, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to forgive my mom. That doesn't mean that we didn't have problems. We've had problems my entire life. We're barely building our relationship back right now. Um, but I decided I wasn't going to be mad anymore. And I really got into this mindset of kind of like, I am the one that controls my life now. Like I make decisions. Like I understood that like as a teenager. Okay, I could decide to do this. This makes me feel better. So I know that it doesn't matter what my parents have done to me. I can choose. I can move on. And so that's why I've always wanted to work with teens, because it's such a weird age of, I wanted to be an adult so bad so I didn't have to be underneath my parents and I could do what I wanted to do, like get my own place and all that stuff. But also, I was just a kid, and you are still just a kid at that age. And so it's this really weird time. You have a lot of feelings. It's a lot. It's really extreme. And so I think that if more teens could understand that you don't necessarily have to go down that road, and they understand the mindset of being a teenager, like everybody's embarrassed, everybody has big feelings, like it's not always going to be like this, that there could be more success in teens going down a path where they don't end up doing drugs, or they don't. And not to say I had an easy road after that, like my 20s were bumpy too, everything's a healing journey. But yeah, that's one thing that really kind of helped me get through, was understanding I didn't have to keep doing this over and over. I didn't have to be mad. I didn't have to live like my parents lived. And so that past graduating high school, that's really fueled me. Um, Never wanting to be without my own place. So I worked really hard. Like I never wanted to be homeless. I never wanted to be without food. Like I never wanted any of that ever again. And so that really fueled me just to keep going and do whatever I needed to do to make sure that I was taken care of, if that makes sense.
That's so beautiful, and I was just like sitting here thinking about the fact that like your parents were drug addicts, my parents were drug addicts,
Mhm.
and I went to the drug world, and
Mhm.
you in the complete opposite direction, like my brother and my two sisters did. They might have, drank some beer in high school or had
Right.
parties with friends, but they never got into the addiction. My parents had 5 kids, and two of them became addicts, and the other three just completely normal,
Mhm.
working class individuals that have, they have some trauma, but they just
Right.
figured out how to deal with it. So I can totally understand where you said like, oh, you're a boy or you're a girl, and it just like it doesn't choose or pick anyone, and I really truly believe that. Like I don't know, blank slate. I don't 100% believe in blank
Right.
slate. I do think that you are positioned,
Destined.
yeah,
Right.
destined in life. Yeah, like I do believe that because me and my brother that are recovering addicts and alcoholics, we both like we look a lot the same. Like I am
Mhm.
like the version of him, so it feels like maybe like the gene trickled down because we look so much alike. But it's
Maybe,
all
yeah. See, and
yeah.
that's the crazy thing. Once you start getting into genetics, epigenetics, birth order, even if you had a different relationship with one parent over the other, there are so many contributing factors, and people really like to make it black and white. And I think that I understood from a young age that people had different stories and different lives. And so it helps me to become empathetic to people in general. So, yeah, there's some people that I don't like at all. If they're continuing to hurt people, like the president and all his cronies, or anybody, like anybody that's, intentionally hurting people, while I can empathize with the child version of them, that all this nonsense happened to them and they ended up that way. I can't continue to empathize with an adult that doesn't learn. and
Oh
doesn't
no,
want to learn to be better. You know what I mean?
completely. Anyone can change. I
Right.
truly believe anyone can change. And Trump, he just I got like scammed in not the very beginning. I was not a
Hmm.
Trump supporter at all
Hmm.
in the very beginning. I tore down my brother-in-law's Trump flag. He was so mad
Hmm.
at me. But then I don't know what happened. Like when I in my early sobriety, I kind
Hmm.
of morphed into the people that I was around, and
Hmm.
I like turned into like I think like a semi like Republican almost, and
Hmm.
then I was like, wait a second, that's not me. You know, I'm
Right.
pretty sure I'm I was in high school. I was in all the LGBT communities. I
Right.
only dated girls in high school. And I don't know what happened, but I think I might have gotten like brainwashed or something from my
Were you
family. And
in, did you get into Christianity in early sobriety?
I was I went to a lot of religious programs that were
Gotcha.
very against they were
That's
against
part of
abortion.
it. Yeah, that's part of it. A lot of that.
I was brainwashed. I was in these
Uh-huh.
programs for 6 months to a year, and
Hmm.
17 times I was in rehab in my life. So I was it was just a lot. And so I want to basically say I used to kind of support him, kind of, and then I realized like I'm an idiot. I was morphed into this thing that I'm not, and now I would rather be the farthest left that I can
Right.
be
It's
than any.
very easy to get like I even experienced that. So I live in South Texas, which I mean Texas is Texas, right? But there is a lot less racial tension in my area because it's a lot more mixed of white people and Hispanic people and black people as opposed to moving where I moved, which is Beaumont, Texas. And Beaumont's on the border of Louisiana and Texas. And I lived there. So it's a lot more racist. There's a lot more just white people. It's near Jasper, Texas. So that tells you kind of how the area is. It's actually right next to Vidor, Texas, which is a sundown town. So when I moved there, I could feel the tension in the air, feel the tension. Um, and that was really weird for me, but I worked for white people. They were rich white people, and they were kind to me, but they also treated me like a servant, if that makes sense. Like I was the help, right? And
Oh,
I because they helped me and because I admired them, like at that I was in my 20s, like I had no guidance. I was there completely by myself. I was there for my job. Um I really admired my boss, and so like I almost voted for Trump in 2016 because he's like Hillary's this, Hillary's that, and they would make fun of Obama and blah blah blah. And I was just like, okay, well these are the people, like they have money, like you know what I mean, like. But it really,
it's easy to get sucked
yeah.
into it. You think that
And
like,
then
okay, people are successful. I want to be successful, so I'm gonna
exactly,
be with them. I think that's why I
exactly.
did that because you know, um, my children's father career is a truck driver,
Hmm.
and there was a lot saying that the Democratic Party was trying to get rid of truck drivers and they were trying to make it all electronic. So because of my family, I have my brother's a truck driver, my brother-in-law is a
Right.
truck driver,
Your
and
family's
my
working class.
so we need that.
Right.
It can't just become all robotic. So that was my one and only reason that I really voted for. Not I didn't vote. I actually was incarcerated
Hmm.
during the voting time, so I didn't vote. But
But you
that's the only
supported.
right. That's the only reason I supported it. But now, if I could take it back, I take back
Oh
any
yeah,
support.
definitely. And I do feel like the religion played a big part in it too. Um because like I said, my grandpa, while my grandparents were very, very kind, my grandpa would talk to anybody. He taught me about Jesus, he taught me about the love of Jesus. So I always understood what the true message of Jesus was because my grandpa really tried to exemplify that. But as I've gotten older, I've realized he was part of the generation that was propagandized like in the Reagan era. He got saved in the 70s in his 30s, you know what I mean? And then I remember him telling me I vote for the person that doesn't support killing babies, because God would not want to kill babies. And so that's the person that I vote for. And so that was also kind of ingrained in me. This beautiful man that, I love, who's been a father to me basically, is saying that. And then just in general, the message of Christianity, which I've never had a problem with the LGBTQ community. I love everybody. But when I was a Christian, I started to believe like, oh, well, it is wrong. I always was a person that believed like, how can love ever be wrong? It doesn't matter who's giving it as long as it's pure love. What is wrong? So I would do the apologetics. Well, God says this, and this says this, and this says this. And one of the first arguments me and my husband got into was he asked me about how I felt about gay people. He's I love him to death, but we've grown to I had never had someone ask me questions that really tried to stroke my mind, and to have to answer those. And so I've grown to love that about him. Honestly, that's one of the reasons we're together, because we talk so much. But one of the first fights we got in was because I said, well, God loves the sinner, not the sin. Like, I know he loves those people. I said, if they just go to him, then, then they won't be gay anymore. Like and so even though I had cognitive dissonance about it, because I honestly don't give a crap who anybody loves or what anybody does in the privacy of their home. They're not hurting children. They're not hurting people. They're not hurting animals. Like,
It was
I
just your
don't care.
relationship with
I don't
God.
care. If y'all want to go dress up like a baby and y'all love that, like, and it's weird, but like, you're not hurting anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit. Why do I care? I'm not there. And so yeah, so there was a lot of that, like, and that was one of our first arguments. He really pushed me. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would God say that? Like, all these different things. And so yeah, I had a lot of those mindsets, and it took really deconstructing from Christianity to let go a lot of the shame, a lot of the guilt. Like, so much shame is just really entwined in being a Christian or being a religious Christian.
Yeah.
And that shame will eat you alive more than anything else. If you cannot forgive yourself, then you're never going to go anywhere. And unfortunately, Christianity kind of keeps you in that by calling you a sinner, saying that you were never born good, you were never this, you were never that, and it keeps people stuck. And and so I know one of the questions was about healing. After my grandpa died, I had a run of deaths. Basically, everybody in my life has passed away, with the exception of my mom and my brother, that I consider close family. And I was just exhausted. I was tired. I was 33. And I had told myself when I was a Christian, okay, when I'm 33, like, I'm really going to commit my life to like God and to helping people, because that Jesus was 33 when he started his mission. It was like, just like this thing I would say. Well, then that year my grandpa died, and I was devastated. It was COVID. It was 2020. It was like, it was just a crap
Right.
year. And and so I had slowly started deconstructing from Christianity. And then my uncle passed away the following year. He was autistic. He lived with my grandparents his entire life. And that like broke me. And so I turned 33 that year, and I set up a Reiki session. Cause like I said, I was like, I want to try something else. And I did a Reiki session with a woman here locally. And ever since then, it just kind of opened up a whole new world, a whole new mindset. I didn't fully deconstruct from Christianity at that point. It was a slower process. Um, but yeah, once I really started doing that, and I was able to let a lot of shame go, a lot of guilt, I was able to start healing a lot more than I was before I left Christianity.
So, leaving Christianity is your first sign of your healing, basically.
Correct.
When you
Hmm.
started to realize that God or your religion isn't going to hate you, and you can actually feel different ways than you were
Right.
just told in the Bible. That's really empowering, because I strayed away from God. I didn't believe in God at all.
Hmm.
I learned about evolution in like
Hmm.
seventh grade, and I was like,
Hmm.
I'm an atheist. I'm done. I don't believe
Right.
evolution. This is how it happened, and
Right.
because I was a tangible person, I'm
Hmm.
not like that anymore. I have faith now in things, but
Hmm.
I needed to see it to believe it, and that just made
Right.
more sense than than like some guy, doing it. But after like going to all the rehabs that I went to, and after, getting clean, I was able to realize like I don't want to believe that there's nothing, because I lost
Right.
so many people.
Right.
But
Right.
I was completely an atheist, and because of learning about how there was like so much hate within
Hmm.
religion, um, because that's when I started to feel like I might like women.
Uh-huh.
So I like, you're disgusting. Like, how can you feel that
Right.
way? You're
You
this
shame, we're ashamed of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I hated it, and I was like, why am I like this? And my sister was like, it's just a phase. You're not gay at all. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. So, I transitioned from it, and now, like, after um realizing like certain things, I call myself pansexual. I'm not sure if you know
Yeah.
what that is, but
Yes. Uh-huh.
that's what I refer to myself as. And I just don't care about anything with religion, because I feel like my God would never judge me. My God would never
Exactly.
feel bad for who I love, and
Mhm.
you know who I
I
am.
love that.
Yeah. So basically, I just wanted to go into like how you healed and what the first sign of your healing was, and I said that
Yes.
it was the
Yeah, it was
religion.
deconstructing. That Reiki session really, like I said, opened up a lot. As an Aquarius, I am very detached from my emotions. That's been something I've had to actually work at. I have a Cancer moon, so I am emotional. I do have a lot of emotions. And the moon, I don't know a lot about astrology. I know about my stuff. So, but I do know that the moon is home in Cancer. That's where it lives. And I remember one of your questions was water and emotions. And
Yes.
that's kind of like why uh the moon can has so much impact on our emotions, because we are 70% water. So, because we are 70% water and the moon controls the tides, that's why it also ebbs and flows with us. And specifically with women, that's why we're in 28-day cycles. Like, we are so connected to the moon, it's crazy. Women specifically, all people, but women really are connected to the moon. I mean, the calendar used to be structured around the moon. We used to have 13 months of 28 days to link with the moon. And so, I also like to use water as emotions as an analogy for having to allow your emotions to flow, basically. It was explained to me that way in one of my classes, that emotions are like water, or they can be considered like a body of water. If you can allow your emotions to flow, you're going to go over rocks, you're going to go over hills, you're going to go over bumps like a river would. But life can grow there. Life can be there. You can, make your own little pathway. Rivers will break off into creeks, whatever. But if you're not processing your emotions, then they become like a pond. And when you ponds are stagnant, they don't, they grow scum. A body of water, what is it called? What do they call it? I've seen like videos where like you'll have say like an abandoned building, and there's like all this like water that's been sitting there for years. It's really dangerous. So
Yeah.
it has grows diseases and all kinds of stuff. So that's the
I
same
think
thing with
it's
your
stagnant
emotions.
water.
Yeah, stagnant water. So it's the same thing with your emotions. If you continue to just allow your emotions to sit there and you never process them, you never let them flow out, then that's when they start to affect your body. That's when they start to affect your muscles, your joints, your health. Um, and as I've learned more about like energy frequency and really about the nervous system and about how emotions are stored in the body and things like that, that analogy has been really important to me, because it, I feel like it really encompasses why it's so important to process your emotions. Because I mean, a lot of people I think their aches and pains are from growing old, and they are, but a lot of aches and pains in like specific areas like your hips, your shoulders, your traps, that's stress. Those are emotions that need to come out, you know what I mean? And your body is telling you like there's something wrong. And it's hard in this society, especially for men, to really understand. It's called somatic symptom disorder is what it's called in the DSM. It's like unexplainable pain, unfindable pains, basically. especially for men, it's hard because of the stigma of like, we just keep going, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, we're all in a hustle culture, we're all trying to take care of ourselves, we don't have rest, and so it becomes very
We're all
easy.
just robots today.
Basically that's what we are, and we were
I
never
feel
meant to be that.
no, we're supposed to have emotions and feelings. I walked into a
Exactly.
store today, and if you make a joke, people just look at you like, "What is this person crazy?" Like,
Exactly.
I might be a little crazy, but you got to stick up your, what.
Exactly. There's something going on with you. You need to worry about yourself.
Lighten up a
I
little
can
bit.
laugh. I don't know what's wrong with you. Yeah. No, I get
Right.
that.
You
It's
can laugh.
crazy.
All the
So
trauma we've endured, I
yeah.
feel like anyone should be able to. It's just so crazy. You said that you had so much loss, and I just wanted to, you know, give my condolences to all of your loss, and
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate
I
that.
just know that everyone that you encountered learned something because I've learned so much just from scrolling on your TikTok page.
Oh,
Like I
I
literally
try.
no, I'm serious. Like you're so smart, and I feel like I can't even keep up with the type of like knowledge that you have about things. And you said that you're going to school for something. What's your
Yes.
major?
Right now I'm getting my bachelor's in behavioral health with an emphasis in trauma. I got my associates in addiction studies, and I graduated in 2023. And that was really important to me. I actually started I started going to school to be a nurse. I always wanted to be a nurse, right? Always. I work, I'm very quick on my feet. Stress, like my brain is like hyperdrive and stress. I'm like that's, like I wanted to be an ER nurse is what a trauma nurse is
I
what I
could
wanted to
see
be.
you. I could see you doing that.
Yeah.
Like I could
But
see you
then
in.
COVID hit and I was like, fuck that. I was like, oh no, I'm in my 30s now. I don't know if I have that energy in me
I
anymore.
don't
Like, no,
blame you.
thank you. But I also started realizing the toll that it was having on myself and my husband, being inside, everything being closed, like everything. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to switch my major to mental health. And so I went to meet my advisor. We have a great community college here. It's called Del Mar. And I went to go meet my advisor. He was over the mental health and addiction studies program. And so I told him, like, what should I do? He directed me towards addiction studies, which I'm so glad that I went that route. It makes a lot of sense for me as a person in general because I used to watch a lot of intervention and I used to watch a lot of lockup as a kid because I wanted to understand what my dad was going through in jail and I wanted to understand addiction in general, like what's going on. So that program taught me a lot about addicts, but it taught me a lot more about myself and about the things I needed to heal from. So honestly, there were a lot of things that really coincided with my healing. Part of it was going back to school, the Reiki. I don't know if it was cosmic, but it was just kind of this time where what else was I going to do? And it felt very similar to when I became a Christian because I didn't become Christian until I was in my 20s, 23. A boyfriend had broken up with me. I wanted to say this earlier and I didn't say it, but I want to jump back to it. My brother may have drug addictions, but I had addiction with sex. Like it was a way I self-harmed. I slept around a lot. And so while I didn't go the drug route, it did not mean that I didn't process my trauma in a way that was not hurting me. You know what I mean? Because I did. I wanted love so bad. I wanted attention. I wanted this, wanted that. So I do want to throw that out there. Even if your siblings, like you said, they don't have substance abuse disorders, they very well could have processed their trauma and things that weren't healthy for them,
Oh
in
yeah,
certain
and
ways.
I know exactly what all of their things are. Like I
Yeah.
can pinpoint it. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say it because if she's
Right.
watching, if
Yeah,
she's
because they're
alive,
your siblings. No, I totally get that. But yeah, no, so that was interesting that just those little things that I started to learn about myself from that program. I was like, "Oh shit." you know. But
it's
it was great.
I
And so
I
that's
I'm
I'm sorry, go
sorry.
ahead. No, 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 go
Uh,
ahead.
So I love that you just were going to find your career to help people, but you found out stuff about yourself, and I
Yes.
think it's so cool. Like every experience that I've had lately with like all of my jobs that I've been trying to get and lose, and then I get fired or something like that.
Hmm.
I get so discouraged, but then I realize I found out something about myself at every single
Hmm.
place that I went to.
Yep.
And I might not have made it, a huge career or something like that, but I
But you
grew.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a lot of different jobs in my life. I've had a lot of different jobs, and each one of those taught me a little something, and each one of it contributed to kind of where I am now. And even like, I'm in the corporate world, like I work from home, and I hate everything about it. I mean, I work for a good team, I have free time, but there's just something about a job where you have to go clock in 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, whatever the heck it is. It just eats part of your soul. I'm grateful. I'm not saying I'm not grateful. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful to have the skills I have and all of those things, but I'm not the same worker I used to be. Like I used to be very people pleaser, gung ho, stay extra hours, let people
Mhm.
treat me certain ways, not give me raises, but all the things. Not anymore. I take my time. Like I don't have emotions towards my jobs anymore in the sense that I'm going to feel bad if I take my time off or I feel bad asking for a raise. Like all of that. So each one of those jobs, like you said, contributes to learning about yourself and learning what you will and won't tolerate making a living. You know what I mean?
I completely get it. And I feel like I didn't take jobs because I was afraid of how I would be in the environment because of
Mm.
how, yeah, like
You
how I
felt too
was.
rough around the edges. Is
Yeah,
that what it
like am I
was? Yeah.
yeah, like am I gonna say something that is too outlandish and then I never want to come back here again because I just said
Hmm.
said something that bad? But I
Yeah.
told myself after I lost my last job, before I had the realization that okay, you can get another 9 to 5 if you so
Right.
choose. But I told myself I'm never going to do it again because I don't want to have that like discouragement and that piece of
Hmm.
failure. And I I would love to work from home, but I have kids and I
Right.
just
It's
don't get
hard.
out of the house sometimes. And like a lot of some women they love being around their kids 24/7 and they're just like that type of mom
Hmm.
but it's just not me. I love being around my kids, but I feel like it's
You need
time where I need
downtime.
yeah, I need time to myself finally. Like I stayed home for the last 2 years with my son,
Hmm.
and now I'm ready to get out into the world. I got an interview coming up to work in the career field.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited and nervous actually too. But yeah, we're actually coming up on an hour.
Okay. Wow, that went
I
by super fast.
I know. I can't even believe that we're at the hour. I was like, oh my goodness, am I gonna have enough to talk about? And I didn't even hit all of
I
the
know. We didn't even hit everything.
but
Um,
we got into it.
is there
And
anything
we
else specific that you wanted to talk about within the list?
I guess I have what's your view on astro projection just for something fun.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I believe it's real. I used to have sleep paralysis, so I definitely Ugh, I believe in that. And then me and my husband have had lots of conversations. He was, when he was born, he had his intestines were on the outside. So he has medical issues that from that even now, but we'll talk about certain things and he'll tell me like, I saw myself, like I was in surgery and I could see myself. I do believe that. I mean, we're our souls are separate from our bodies, right? We inhabit this body for a specific purpose. Like you were saying earlier, I don't completely believe in the blank slate. I do believe we come here, but I do believe that we make our choices and we
Mhm.
decide whether we're gonna go through with that purpose. But I say all that to say, like we choose this vessel, this body, our family, all of that. So to me, it just makes sense that we could also astral project. I do a lot of deep meditation where am like in space or like I can envision, whole things and stuff like that. Somebody's banging on somebody's door. Sorry, I got distracted.
Are
Um,
you? I have
but
so much
even,
background noise because I'm right near a main road. Yeah, I'm
oh,
in.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but in my sleep paralysis, sometimes I could see myself like down, just like trying to move a finger, trying to move a toe, trying to reconnect back with my body so I
can get out of that.
sorry about that. Just reconnect. That was me. Someone called me. Reconnect back with my body so I could wake up. And so I definitely believe in it. I definitely believe that it's something that could, that is, if you really focus, that you could do it. I do like to watch videos of people that say they've like astral projected into different places.
Yeah.
And, like I've watched a couple of videos where people have tried to astral project like in the White House, but it's like blocked and stuff like that. So I'm like, that's really cool. I wonder if I could get through, you know?
Oh my
So
god,
yeah.
I want to astral project into like Area 51 or something like
Right.
that.
I know. I've seen people say that they've tried, but there's some sort of like something around it. You know what I mean? That prevents you from astral projecting in. Yeah.
It's so funny. So what's your biggest dream that you have?
I have lots. I would love someday when I'm retired, I would like to have a lot of money to because it's expensive. I would love to open a restaurant and just like not have to worry about it making me money. Just like I love to cook. I have like, both of my grandmas. That's how I really connected with both of them. So I would love to like have, cook home good food. I also one day want to
Yeah.
open a center like I guess kind of a literacy center, but I want to teach women and people that are historically undereducated, like for instance, like my grandma who was, worked in a cafeteria and she did a lot of hard labor most of her life, my Mexican grandma. I want to be able to teach people like that skills so they do not have to perform hard labor their entire lives. Something that like clerical skills, like teaching them Excel, Microsoft, like stuff like that, where they can transition into a different, easier job market. I would also, once I'm a therapist, I would love to have a like mobile therapy clinic where I have like other therapists that volunteer with me and we just like park somewhere in town and just like offer free therapy. Like in
I
a trailer or something. Yeah.
oh my,
So yeah. And then I would love to start a podcast with my husband. Like we talk about it all the time. But to have like a successful podcast with him because we have so much to talk about, that would be awesome too. And my main dream is I don't want to have a job. I want to be able to do whatever I want to do.
me too.
I don't want to have to clock in for anybody. Just me.
Mm-mm. That's my goal. That's my goal. Like
Mhm.
with my social media, my podcast and everything. I do a little bit of background acting right now, and
Oh,
I'm trying to get.
awesome.
Yeah, I was just on a movie set with Cameron Diaz, so that's.
Nice.
I didn't get to talk to her though. I just got to see
Right.
her. I locked eyes with her for a second, and that was it. I
That's
actually
funny.
got to talk to a cool Happy Gilmore 2 was the coolest set, and I actually got to talk to Adam Sandler. So that was
Oh, that's you know what? That's the freaking dream right there. If there's anybody I'd want to talk to, it'd be Adam Sandler. He shaped our
he's
whole childhood.
he's just like you would think he is. He
Just a
clocked
humble.
it.
He just seems like a regular guy.
Yeah, he's just a regular dude. He's awesome. I wish I got to experience him more and got to work
Hmm.
with him. That's my dream is one day to work. Be a movie star. That's what I
Right?
want to.
That would
But
be awesome.
I got wrapped up into the goal thing because you just were like spewing it out, and so I had to say some of mine. It's that
Yeah.
ADHD. It always has to like act my part.
No, that's
But
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I've had to get better at conversations because I used to interrupt people a lot. Like I used to be like, I'm just one of those people that just wants to fit it in there. So I've had to learn how to like calm, slow down, especially with counseling because I'm like, I can't interrupt people while they're telling me their life stories. Like, what the heck, you know?
could you imagine like, well, hold on a second before all their trauma you just
Right.
interject?
Wait,
Man.
let me tell you this. Yeah. We should do this again. This was a lot of fun. We should do it again.
Yeah, I would love to do it again. And you said something about cooking and you like to cook.
Mhm.
And I thought randomly, like, what if we did a podcast together while we were cooking something?
Oh,
And
that'd be
then, like,
fun.
share our dish on
Yeah, I would love
and
that.
That would be totally dope. I would love to do something like that.
Yeah,
And if
let's
you have,
coordinate that. That would be cool.
yeah, I want to do that. I just need to figure out the lighting and all that situation,
Right.
and we can
Yeah.
totally,
I've never done anything in the kitchen yet, so we'd have to finagle that. But yeah, that would be a
yeah,
lot of fun. We should do that.
we got, yeah, I totally want to do that. So we don't have a date yet. If anyone watching is gonna, wants to watch that, I'm not sure when it's gonna happen, but
But
it's
we're gonna do it.
Ashley and at Mad Sober Mama are totally gonna do a cooking
We
episode
are.
on this podcast. So,
Okay.
to wrap up this podcast, and I always wrap up the episode by I don't know if you listened to any of my episodes, but I always just like either you want to like touch your heart or like even give yourself a hug and just like you can either say it inside your head or say a positive message to yourself. Or we could, say it together. Like I always just tell myself, like I am loved, you are loved, you're important, you're smart, and that's it. So if you want to join me with
Sure.
that, so I just want to end this podcast by saying thank you so much for listening, and I want to thank Ashley so much for sharing her story, experience, and hope. So, I like to just give myself a little breather before I do it, try to get in the zone, and just wrap your hands around yourself if you're driving. Don't do this. Just give yourself some positive thoughts. Say to yourself, I am kind, I'm smart, I'm worth it, and I deserve everything that I have, and I will reach every goal that I try to pursue.
And so it is.
Thank you so much again.
Yes. I will message you so we can get going on another podcast soon.
Yeah. Is there do you want to plug anything? Do you have any
Let's see. Just my TikTok. I have Instagram, TikTok, and it's it's ItzAshleySmashley, ITZ, and then Ashley Smashley, and like Mad Sober Mama said, I talk about all kinds of. I don't have a niche. I just talk. I talk about stuff today, mental health, woo-woo stuff, politics. This might be offensive. I talk a lot about white people because I'm half white and I grew up in two worlds. So I talk a lot about that, about deconstructing whiteness and really, stuff like that. So yeah.
Thank you so much again.
Of course.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.